This video is going to cover writing equations from graphs, points, and tables. To get started, let's review how we're going to write our equation. We're going to write our equations by using slope-intercept form. Remember that slope-intercept form is the equation y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope, also known as the rise over the run, and b is going to be represented by the y-intercept. As an ordered pair, that would be 0, b, because the x value is going to be 0, so that it crosses on the y-axis. Let's go ahead and look at a graph. If I look at this graph, I can see a couple things. I can see that it starts here at a y-intercept of 5. If I want to write an equation of my line that's being represented by the graph, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write y equals. And when I write my equations, I know for sure that I need to fill in 2 blank spots, the m and the b spot. Since we decided that our y-intercept was 5, I can write plus 5 after the x. Now let's go ahead and figure out what the slope is going to be, and that's going to be what is being multiplied by x. I'm going to find the slope between these 2 points. I try and always find the points that are closest together on the graph so that I don't have to reduce or simplify my slope as much as possible. If I start at the point on the left, I'm going to make sure I find the rise over the run, meaning let's find how far up or down my graph goes first. So to get from one point to the next, I'm going to go down 2. And when I go a direction of down, I indicate it as negative, and to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. My slope, remember, is rise over run. So on the top of my fraction, I'm going to have -2. On the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to have 3. This would be the equation that's represented by my line. Go ahead, pause this video, and try the second example on your own. All right, again, I'm asked to write an equation of the line represented by the graph. So y equals something x plus something, or my y-intercept. So I usually like to find my y-intercept first. My y-intercept is right here at -2, so I'm going to write -2. I know oftentimes there's some people that write plus -2. That would be equivalent or correct, but -2 would be most simplified. Now let's go ahead and find our slope. Our slope is a fraction, so we're going to draw a fraction bar, and we're going to go ahead and try and find our slope. Now I can find slope between any of these two of these points. I'm going to pick 2 that are closest together. So these 2 are pretty close together. I'm going to find the rise. I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 3. Now, if you happened to go between the 2 outermost points, you would have noticed that you rose 4 and ran 6. But remember, 4 over 6 simplifies to 2 over 3. So as long as you are reducing and simplifying your fractions, you will always end up with the right equation. Let's go ahead and look at 2 points. I'm going to write an equation that goes through 2 points. Now this time, I can't visually see my y-intercept, but this is my y-intercept. Remember at the beginning when I was talking about slope-intercept form, that when the x is 0, the y value is my y-intercept. So I could right now say y equals something x, and my y-intercept is -5, so -5. Now to calculate the slope, I'm going to use the slope formula between 2 points. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in those values. Since this is x and this is y, and this is x and this is y, I'm going to label this as my first point and this is my second point. Let's go ahead and calculate this. y2, meaning -2, minus y1. y1 is -5, so minus -5 divided by x2, which is 7, minus 0. As I simplify this, I can see that I'm going to have to add 5 minusing a negative, and I end up with 3 over 7. So my slope, because that 3 over 7 cannot be reduced or simplified, is 3 over 7, and this would be my final answer. We're going to go ahead and skip this second example because we'll have a lot of practice finding slope with our next example. So I'm actually going to change this to write a function for the line that goes through the 2 points. Now, you may be saying, what 2 points? This looks kind of funky. Remember, as we talked about function notation, that I can convert or translate this into an ordered pair or a point. Remember, if it's inside the parentheses, that represents my input. So 2 represents my x, and 9, since this is a function, when I input a specific input, I get an output, or y. So this translates into the point 2, 9, and this translates into the point 0, negative 4. And hopefully you just recognized that I found my y-intercept because that x value is 0. So this is my b. Since that it says function, now you may be saying, I don't know how to write a function. Functions are exactly the same as equations, but instead of y, I'm going to write f of x equals, and I'm still going to use mx plus b. So x, my y-intercept is negative 4, so minus 4. Now let's go ahead and calculate the slope. I'm going to use that same slope formula. y2, so this is y2, negative 4 minus 9 divided by 0 minus 2. Let's go ahead and simplify that. That gives me negative 13 over negative 2. Now ask yourself, is that slope simplified and reduced as much as possible? Well, I can't reduce the fraction, but I can simplify it. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I would write it as 13 over 2. And I encourage you to continue to write your slopes as fractions. Don't convert them to decimals. All right, go ahead, take a second and pause the video and try this second example on your own. All right, let's go ahead. First, convert. So 0, 6 and 2, 12. Second, I'm writing a function. So f of x equals, let's go ahead and calculate our slope. y2, so second y value is 12, first y value is 6. Divided by second x value minus first x value. Simplify 6 over 2, which reduces and simplifies to 3. So my equation is 3x plus, well, what's my intercept? There's my 0 value, so plus 6. And that is my final function. Lastly, I want to talk about tables. Now you may be saying, oh, this looks so much different. I must have to do something different. This is actually going to be the same steps. I'm going to write an equation, so I'm going to write y equals instead of f of x, and I'm going to identify my slope and my y-intercept. Remember that tables are just a bunch of ordered pairs. For example, the first line represents the ordered pair 0, 4. The second line represents the ordered pair 1, 7, and so on. Now, how many points do you need to make a line? 2. So I can ignore all but 2 of the points. I choose to pick the numbers or the points that are closest together and the smallest. So I'm going to look at these 2 ordered pairs. This is an x, this is an x, this is a y, this is a y. This is my first x, this is my second x. First y, second y. And I can use my slope formula to calculate my slope. 7 minus 4 divided by 1 minus 0. And what does that simplify to be? 3 over 1, or rather 3. So my function is y equals 3x, and my y-intercept, again, is where the x value is equal to 0 plus 4. Finally, go ahead, take a second and pause the video and try this last one on your own. All right. So y is equal to something x. I can identify my y-intercept. The x value is 0 minus 2. And let's calculate the slope. 0 minus negative 2. Notice I changed that to a plus 2. When I minus a negative, that turns into addition. Divided by negative 3 minus 0 equals 2 over negative 3. Now, as you do your homework assignment, it is most simplified to write that negative out front instead of in the denominator. All right, if you have any questions, please reach out to your teacher.